This week on Barbell Shrugged, we're back with Julien Pineau of StrongFit, and we're going to talk about your face. We talk about deficiencies, imbalances, and we're going to identify – what am I talking about? This week on Barbell Shrugged, we're back with Julien Pineau of StrongFit, and we talk about how you can identify deficiencies, imbalances, and weaknesses.
Training isn't about how much you can do or how long you can go. More is not better.
Nope, you're using this. I want this.
Better is better.
There we go. All the way. There we go.
If your goal is to do something extraordinary, start by doing what's necessary, even if it's awkward or painful to the body or your pride. Remember, the most experienced athletes get pinned down and frustrated by their weaknesses from time to time too. It's natural. We all want to grow and make progress, but all you need to do is what you can do. Small steps amount to big strides forward. So, be consistent and determined. Keep chipping away, seeking out those steady adaptations.
There we go.
Once a week, every week, and just a little bit better each time. Keep that rhythm up and you'll soon be standing on the shoulders of giants.
Come on, come on. Okay. There it is.
Welcome to Barbell Shrugged. I'm Mike Bledsoe, standing here with Chris Moore and Doug Larson. We have traveled up to StrongFit up here in LA to visit. Damn, I forgot your name.
Julien Pineau.
Come on, man. You just did a show with him.
I tell you what, he had an insulin crash after this morning's torture session.
Okay, we can train again. It's not a problem.
He's trying to forget your name after what you did to him earlier.
That's right. Screw this guy.
I'll wear a shirt next time that has my name right here, so it won't be a problem.
My name is Julien. You owe the pain to me.
If you missed our last episode, part 1, so this is a 2-part series, go back and watch part 1 where we talked about something else I just forgot.
You did a lot of prep work for this show.
The break was too long.
The break was too long. No, we talked about critical mass.
Yeah, critical mass, movement, planes of motion. We talked energy systems. We talked anaerobic threshold, which was probably my favorite part of the whole fucking show. So if you haven't seen part 1, go watch it because it's awesome.
Yeah, and we
take over, do something.
Yeah, exactly.
Dance, monkey, dance.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So for people who may have missed part 1, they're not going to go back and watch it. Short bio, real quick.
What do you mean they're not going to watch it? They should watch it.
They're going to watch it.
Yeah, so I'm a movement specialist first. I compete in strongman and powerlifting now, mostly strongman. But my background is about every sport you can think of since I'm like a kid. I think I started training like seriously. I was like 6, 7, something like that. So, and I've been a coach so I started lifting weight like 25 years ago. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Don't remind yourself of the time it's been,
And so basically sports my whole life, either as an athlete myself, as a coach. And that's really the only career I ever wanted was to be a coach. And then I found that movement specialist fits my talent better. And so that's been my life forever, really.
Movement specialist / fixing people.
Yeah.
So you can reach their full strength potential, I think.
Yeah, I'm a problem fixer, really. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I build a better base so they can achieve a higher pyramid.
And just so everybody at home knows, Julien found maybe just 1 or 2 minor things with your humble podcast career that we should go back and work on.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
And people come to you when they have an injury, they're about to be injured, or they're plateaued their training.
Yes, exactly. So you know, like you see certain imbalances. Like for example, the person has a good front squat, but just can't back squat, or the back squat is too close to the front squat, and they just cannot bring in higher no matter how much they try. So they try small off, it doesn't work.
The Russian squat program,
exactly, all that bullshit. Please, unless you're squatting 500, you should not know how to spell small off. Stay away from it. So
that's for world-class experience, expert
it was a
squatters.
very, very specific program designed for one thing only, to overload people that have been squatting perfectly for the last 15 years and reach a plateau. It's an excessively specific thing. The reason you're plateauing is because first you don't know how to squat, and secondly you're lacking the posterior chain or you're lacking the quads to go up with everything. It's just the problem is your imbalances, not the fact that you need to overload your system.
It's a great point you're making. That probably the last thing you should do, unless you are world class, and if we're going to say that out loud, it's a question that's easy to answer for most of us. We are not. It's probably inappropriate to look towards the elite training programs of world-class weightlifters, world-class powerlifters, world-class strongmen, or
world-class podcasters.
World-class podcasters. You want to try to do what we do? Man, shit. You're going to get a rude awakening. This looks like screwing around and dick jokes. This is highly skilled activity.
As
highly
you can
skilled.
see from Mike's intro.
You don't have it.
As you can
exactly.
see. Hashtag most of the time.
No, it was on purpose. But you don't have it, so the only thing you're going to do is make it worse. You're going to reinforce a faulty pattern and just make it worse. So that's the most problem I see. So people come to me for stuff like that, and I will, through triangulation of exercises, find whatever is not working, and then we'll slowly fix that.
Triangulation of exercise is a very kind way of putting what you do. You get to the root of the problem through sometimes torture means.
I'll find out whatever you cannot do, and I'll kill you doing it.
Whatever you've been hiding from yourself,
yes.
Julian will fucking pull out of your body and show it to you.
Yeah. Right. And say, see,
you can't ignore it. Is part of that like showing the athlete like, hey, you can't ignore this? Or because sometimes you can go in and do like a movement assessment with somebody and they go, oh, you might want to work on this thing back here. But you're like,
and you go, I might want to work on it too. Then nothing will fucking happen.
But then you like throw them on the sled or something like that. And it's like, okay, now it's glaringly obvious. And you can't ignore this.
And the key that is glaringly obvious. Most athletes, if you tell them this is lacking, they go, oh, okay, I'll put more pull-ups in my program. Stuff like that. I'm like, no.
They keep the trajectory.
No, your lats are not firing. Okay, so I'll put more pull-ups in my program. And then we can go on like this forever. I'm like, no, that's not the problem. And so I have to put them in, like literally out there on the prowler, and you can't do it. The weight is not moving. And then I'll come and I'll say, Valerie does more weight than you. And so just to make you feel better about yourself.
But you did that today.
Yes, I did.
We got crushed on the sled drag.
Yeah,
and you mentioned that a female athlete of yours, even though she's world class, would basically fucking decimate us at this drill. And that motivates me to fucking do some more sled pulling.
But the key is I have to make it, as you say, glaringly obvious that you cannot do it. And so that's why I like all the exercises, because you don't need my feedback to know you can't do it. It's like I put 230 on the yoke, you're going to carry it overhead. Well, it's easy to see if you can stabilize it or not. You don't need me to tell you, to point it to you, you know. And so now you go, okay, I can't hide this, I'm going to have to work on it. And then we can go from there, basically.
Right. So let's zoom out real quick. On the first part of this series, we talked a lot about the principles that you think are kind of the driving forces behind how you train people. And then at the end of it, we talked about your analogy between a key log, and you told a story behind that, which you can probably tell again right now for people that haven't seen that episode, which is leading into how you kind of assess your athletes, which leads to how you train them. So can you go over that story one more time?
So the key for me is to find the key log. The key log from it's a documentary I saw when I was a kid in Canada on National Geographic, where in the logging industry, so they have all those logs they throw in the river so they can go downhill to the mill, and eventually a bottleneck will be created by and so you have about 1,000 logs getting stuck, and so nothing moves, and they'll bring that engineer guy that will come around, look at the structure, pick one log to remove, and that will free the flow of all the other ones, which literally looks like magic. Anybody should go see it. It's pretty cool, actually. And so
everything looks like magic until you know why the reason it works.
And the guy is an engineer. So that's what struck me is I looked at him, and at first, being a kid, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. The guy is a genius. But no, he's just an engineer, and through scientific principles, he looked at the structure and found that one log that should not be there, blocking everything else from moving freely. So the concept for me was, as a coach, was, okay, that's it. It doesn't go any further than this. This is what you do as a coach. You found that one thing that is blocking your athletes from progressing, and you remove that key log, and everything starts flowing from there, basically. So it's a very, very important principle, and you see that problem into inexperienced coaches where they try to fix a number of issues that can be connected to the same root, to the same problem at the source that they should remove. And instead of that, they focus on all the symptoms that they have to fix.
So you're picking a log out of the river one at a time 1,000 times.
Exactly, but you're never picking the key logs. So they're going to keep blocking, and so you're going to spend all your energy removing all those logs instead of freeing that one. And then again, in the meantime, the mill is not receiving the wood, so you're not making any money. So the key is just go find the key log and remove it. Yes, it's not always easy, but that's why they bring experts and everything. But that's the difference between wasting all your energy on small fixes instead of finding that one problem, removing that, and then the athletes can move forward from there.
Even if you don't find the one right one, if you were thinking with that mindset, maybe you narrow it down to 2 or 3. That makes a whole lot more efficient use of your time as a coach and athlete, at least.
And then it requires also some trial and errors. It's in engineering, they call that a well dump control function, which is basically oscillations going smaller over time toward that straight line, which is perfection. But it starts, you're going to make mistakes up and down that line. That's fine. But as long as the oscillations are going smaller and smaller, it's called a well-damped control function. When they start to see the errors getting bigger and bigger and bigger, that means you're doing it the wrong way. So the key at first is, even if I don't find the key log right away, I will narrow down over time are you getting better or not? Yes, this is getting better, this is not. And so over time I can see that we're making progress and narrowing down until I found the true key log. So at first it might take time, but the key is always over time to get a well-damped control function. It's an engineering principle.
So you're trying to find the problem that's causing all the other problems.
All the other problems,
yes.
I go upstream always.
And you're not trying to fix everything all at once. What I think is the mindset of most people in the gym and most maybe younger and experienced coaches would say, oh, well, this person has an obvious issue. Let me just make this fix today. Oh, I see 5 things. I'll mention them all now. We'll get this fixed as fast as possible. That's just the wrong, fundamentally, it's an errant mindset.
Yes, it's great to justify your job, but it's not helping the athlete. So a lot of time, I think it's either inexperience or, lack of knowledge, but you come and you go, my shoulder hurts and everything. Okay, so your shoulder hurts. So now we're going to look and you do push-up, or my shoulder hurts when I do a push-up. Okay, so the guy is going to spend an hour correcting how you do push-up so your shoulder doesn't hurt. I'm like, no. That's not really the point. The point is, if the shoulder was correctly built, then it wouldn't hurt doing a push-up. So how about we rebuild the shoulder correctly so that you can do push-up instead of correcting the push-up in order for the shoulder not to hurt. Because now you move on to the next press, and the press is hurting. So you're gonna correct every press, every form of push-up. It doesn't work like that. The key is rebuild the shoulder correctly. Everything falls into where it should.
Justification should be elevated to a key thing we all got to be aware of, because to ourselves, like the first thing I thought of is like, if I'm on my own and I see a problem like this, maybe I even recognize, but the first thing I'm going to do is justify to myself why maybe it's not a huge thing.
Yes.
Or, well, that thing happened, so therefore I have to do this.
Yeah, because I'm better here, and no, I'm just stronger here. No, you're not.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. It's well, this is my comfort zone.
Yes. No.
Or is it a comfort zone, or that's just what I'm fucking telling myself?
Yeah.
And if I'm a coach who is committed and I'm invested into maybe their fancy toys, their complicated methodology, spent a long time reading about, when somebody asks me about them, am I justifying why I use it, or am I have a clear rationale as to why this is the best thing to get at the principle that's important to me?
Exactly.
Like justification as a coach, are you just trying to back up your own shit?
And that's my biggest problem when we talk about methods all the time, is then we just justify our position. Talking about method, it does not matter. You're looking at the end. No. Let's go back to the principle. Are the principles there? Then the method, you do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. But discussing about method instead of principle is the same idea of justifying what you do instead of really trying to help the athlete. It's not about you. It's about the athlete. Go find what his problem is.
So I know you said that the key log often is deficiencies, imbalances, and weaknesses. Yeah. Can you dig into those?
Yeah, that's how I characterize basically. So you come to me with a problem. It can be 3 different things. It can be a weakness, which is something you just haven't done enough. So that's simple programming fix. You just haven't pressed enough or whatever. Or you have an imbalance. Now it gets a little bit more complicated. It's, front delt versus rear delt or things like that, where you haven't done enough, but now we're going to have to spend a bit more time with isolation work, making sure that we balance the body. Or you have a deficiency, which is a muscle group that doesn't fire at all. That's where the real problem is.
Maybe it's coupled with a hypertrophied
somewhere. It will.
Muscle that's taking over function for that muscle.
Have to, but usually we'll start with the deficiency, which your body hates, because that's the one where the muscle doesn't fire, you're going to get hurt. Something is going to pop. The body doesn't like it. You have the nerve signal. You will have to compensate somewhere else to make sure this doesn't pop, which is happening with your shoulder, for example. Yeah. You have such a deficiency in the right lat, you had to shrug up to compensate for that.
Yeah, we did the overhead carry with the yoke, which is not something I've done a lot of. And I've even done, you also have the version where you do it, do you hang weights from it and they're kind of jostling a little bit?
Well, because people don't have a yoke, so I just do it with a bar.
Yeah, so I've done a little bit of that. I've done the yoke now, and I watched your social post of it, or somebody videotaped me. Maybe it was Doug. I saw from the back.
Yeah.
I did not feel this. This is important for everybody.
Yeah.
I know, like, something is glaring. You might not feel. I look at the video, my fucking shoulder is touching my ear on the right side.
Exactly.
And the whole time I'm trying to think, man, it's awkwardness, and I'm not in good position. I'm going forward, but I don't feel. They both feel level.
But they were not even close.
Yeah, my awareness for what was going on totally lacking until I used a tool to diagnose it.
Yeah, and
the strongman tool.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can tell, but it was fairly obvious to see that you were shrugging. You're shrugging because you have to put the tension somewhere, and since you cannot put it in the lat, you have to put it everywhere.
And the same thing on the Z press sitting. I think I was doing the same
you're
thing.
avoiding the lats and everything. But so you have a deficiency. So the deficiency, that's more complicated because now skill work has to be involved. So I can make the muscle group fire, which is way more complicated than an imbalance. That is more complicated than a weakness. So I have gradual things like that to decide, because that's going to decide exactly how I deal with it. Like, for example, when it's a deficiency, I have to go through skill work because I have to make it fire first. That's important. Like an imbalance, I can start to do interval training, whereas a metcon should only be done for some you already mastered. So weakness that we need, but that's some movement that you're really
that's when
good
you're going
at.
For speed too.
Yeah, exactly.
And
speed strength,
technique,
and strength, and everything.
What you're saying is, if you need to insert an exercise that's going to shore up a deficiency in the metcon, is the wrong place to put it.
Yeah.
You should put it when you can focus on it. You get plenty of rest between sets.
Exactly.
You're going to do it just right. You're not going to compensate.
And that's another problem with the coaching. Is I call that the move safer, move better, move faster. Is every movement I look at is first, can you move safely? So move safer. For example, in the case of the overhead carry for you, why would I put more weight on the yoke when you cannot carry it empty correctly? So
yeah, it'd be pointless.
Yeah, and plus that tells me you're going to blow up your shoulder and everything. So first we correct that. That's deficiencies, so it's a move safer. Once I get to that moment where both shoulders are going to be somewhat even, now I have to balance things correctly and make him work on the technique. Now we're in a move better phase. Once I'm out of the move better phase, I can go to move faster, which is now I can get you stronger. Moving faster, moving stronger and everything. But it's move safer, move better, move stronger. For any movement that I look at, I go through those 3 steps. And so the move safer is where I put the skill work. I mean, so like, for example, your shoulder, you're shrugging and everything. I have to make the lat fire, I have to make the rhomboid, all this. So we're going to look at that. And until it's out of that move safer zone, I'm not doing anything else. I'm just going to make things fire correctly. Once it fires, then I can balance the left and the right. I can make things work together. Now it's technical work and working together. That's a move better. Once I have that, then I can make you stronger. But not before that. And if I skip those steps, you will get hurt.
Yeah, that kind of rationale makes so much sense to me, because I can see, okay, I need to look at myself in the mirror and shake my finger. The things I like to do and feel strong at are the things that are only going to feed the imbalance. So I can scale down. Like we did Good Mornings with your camera bar over here. It seemed like the most important thing there was focusing so hard on what my pelvis was doing. Same thing with the what is that split leg deadlift?
The Jefferson
lift. Then the one-arm RDLs, or one-legged RDLs. Those movements seem like they're lighter and not going to make me as strong as like if I'm doing heavy Good Mornings or heavy stiff leg deadlifts, letting my back move. But after that, I'd say the pump I was feeling and the neurological fatigue was actually really unexpectedly hard.
Yeah, and for example,
it's easier to do this.
It's a good example, like the first, like the one leg stiff leg, that would be like a move safer because you just cannot move properly in that movement. The cambered bar, you were better. So that would mean like a move better, because then I would try to, make sure your hips are in the right position, that you learn how to lift in neutral. So it's almost like a technical issue where you're in the right position, but I can tell your obliques are not used to lifting in neutral. You have problem with the glutes, the hammies and everything. We're in a move better phase. Whereas the one leg stiff leg, you're in a move safer because you just can't do the movement properly. Same thing, like you were so short on it. Like that's just going to be, we're going to stay there until you're better at this, until you can have proper tilt of your pelvis. We're staying there until the hammies are where I want. Then we can start to go a little bit heavier on that. But again, it's until things, like in your case, for example, your hips were uneven. So until your hips are even and the musculature is properly set and everything, we're staying there. I'm not going up in weight. I'm going to get that going. Once we have that and everything is built properly, then maybe we can look at your deadlift. But before that, I want the right muscle in the right places.
Okay,
and if you rush it, you're probably going to hit a hard plateau you probably won't overcome, maybe.
And you'll hurt yourself deadlifting. You'll have to, because there's certain things missing. So, for example, your hammies are so short, if you deadlift, you're going to have to have a tilted pelvis forward. You're going to either hurt yourself or you're going to have to go toward your erectors. We go back to the shark fins. Your upper back will collapse because you'll have that weird position.
You'll struggle to lock out.
And you'll hitch like crazy. And now we get the position. You're like, okay, can you fix my deadlift? I'm like, I can't fix your technique on the deadlift because you're just in the wrong position.
Then people, I remember powerlifters will say, oh, I struggle. The dangerous thing is say, oh, I struggle at the top. So I'll start doing a bunch of heavy rack pulls at the top. So now all you're doing is dumping extra loading and stimulus on the muscles that are doing the job at the wrong time.
You're in a faulty pattern. So all you do, either you fix a problem or you fit it. But it's one or the other.
That's why they say that a rack pull doesn't give you carryover to a deadlift. It's just the wrong kind of thinking.
Yeah, depending on what the problem is. But if it's because your arms are so short, your pelvis in the wrong position, putting more weight on the bar is not exactly the solution.
So I know Greg Cook has a saying where he says you never want to add fitness to dysfunction. That's essentially what you're saying.
Yeah. Greg Cook is a movement specialist. He's great. My only problem with all the specialists that I see in that field and everything is that they kind of refuse to challenge enough to me. It's a lot of the PT mentality where they're going to go to, like outdoor surgery, we're going to get into moving. And then after that, there's a gap between moving toward performance. That's really where I am. Because it's a humongous gap in the fitness industry where nobody takes you from after PT to performance.
Right.
That in between, there's nobody. There's a humongous gap there.
Right.
And that's what I like to do. And I don't think you can go from Greg Cook training for the CrossFit Games just straight into it. There are steps in between that nobody seems to be taking.
No one's bridging that gap between rehabilitation and performance very well right now.
Yeah. So Greg Cook will make you move better, but I'm like, okay, so you move better because he loves that one leg, stiff leg. Okay, that's a 40-pound kettlebell, 50-pound. I'm like, that's great. What about, like heavier weights? What about correcting the pull? What about correcting the deadlift and everything? Because now we're going toward performance. But before we hit that 600 deadlift, you're going to have to lift that 300 correctly. So there's that gap in between that nobody is really touching. So you have people that we teach them to move better, good, with those weights that are not really challenging, not at a high level performance athletes. And now you put them back into their very specific training for their sport. I'm like, okay, but we still haven't built the base, either built or rebuilt the base correctly. So you go from, now you're moving, you're just good enough to go back to your training and get hurt.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going to build you just enough that you can push hard enough over there to get hurt.
Right.
And nobody's in between. So that's where I am going. How about we build your base? How about we plug the holes in your base? How about we make the base wider so the pyramid can go higher? But all those guys just prepare you to get fucked up doing your sport.
So you're temporarily out of pain and you feel good, and that's only going to last for a couple weeks.
Yeah, because you're going to go again. You're not at performance level. You're not at your normal training, but now you feel good. Everything is moving well. You're going to take that and apply it to your normal training, which is way too far down the line, and you still haven't fixed the problem. Again, you fix the symptoms. Greg Cook tells you to move better. I'm like, that is awesome and it's necessary, but why did you move incorrectly in the first place? It's still there. You haven't fixed it. Now you have to learn to move better, but you still haven't fixed the why you are moving badly.
How you feel can be a real deceiving thing in the gym. We didn't feel muscles working. You feel like you're ready to tackle a thing, and you're fucking not.
You don't feel shit. Yeah. You feel you're even when you're completely uneven. Yeah. You feel uneven when you're even. You don't know.
Yeah.
You're really feelings are awful way to base.
Ignore your feelings.
Yes,
fuck your feelings.
I think that happened to us today with the single leg.
Yes, like I'm good. No, you're not.
It's like you're like, stop going to the right. I'm like, I guess I'll go to the left.
I was straight.
You cannot.
Yeah. To your view, you are fucking dead on straight.
And then you
tilting in the pelvis,
and your
got
spine is going
supple
45
hamstrings.
degrees. Yeah.
And I can hear it's my mind, and behind I hear this guy chuckling. Oh my god! Oh no!
What are you doing?
Oh no! To straight. Not a little bit of that going on today.
Yeah.
Which is necessary. Again, this is part of
that's why you have a coach.
Yeah. You have a coach, and this is why you have to remain coach. But you got to fucking eat your spoonful of humble pie and realize what's best for you to do or what you can keep doing and get the same result.
Yeah, and no matter what, you have to build that base. The wider the base, the higher the pyramid. There's always holes to plug and stuff like that. Just go off numbers, go triangulate correctly, but you're going to have to build a base in order to obtain top performance without plateauing, without getting hurt and everything. And yes, you build the base correctly, and for the next 2 years, you don't have to touch it. But 2 years later, guess what? You created other imbalances. Now there are different problems, other issues.
But a great point you're mentioning, though, is it doesn't take much to keep the base.
No.
You were suggesting that this torture session and the exercise we do, every day you show up, you have to fucking torture yourself, which I guess is another limiting mentality in a lot of new fitness gyms where max effort and intensity and punishing yourself does not correlate with fucking results all the time. Well, for a lot of people, it's not part of the equation.
No, you have to punish yourself. That's the weirdest thing. It's like you have to PR every week and you have to punish yourself every week. And I'm like, nah, you PR every 2 months, you're great. You do the anaerobic threshold once a week. Maybe once every 2 weeks, I would say it's a bit long, but you don't have to do it. You know, the cycle does not have to be 3 weeks. What killed me the most in CrossFit right now is the 4 weeks Olympic weightlifting cycles. I mean, I'm like, that's neurological adaptation. If you don't do snatching for 6 months and you do a 4-week cycle, yes, you're going to be better at the end of a 4-week cycle than where you started.
Absolutely.
I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah. But it's a crash course in lifting.
But anybody's going to get better. It's a neurological adaptation. For 4 weeks, you're going to get better. After 4 weeks, now we have to start, getting. But you're going to get better than where you started because you didn't snatch for 6 months. So you know what I mean? Yeah. You have to see also what the stronger means. If at the end of a cycle you're stronger than where you started, I'm like, yeah. But are you stronger than you were last year? So all this has to be, you know what I mean? So I have, I guess, a longer point of view when it comes to training that most people have a tendency to have those short, 6-week cycle. I'm like, well, depends what the cycle was before that, but I look at it from a longer point of view. I mean, I look at it on a year-long
goal and a short-term microcycle, but if you haven't thought out,
yes,
you need both.
Where are you now?
Both. You need both.
Where are you? Where do you want to go? And what is the step today and this month and then next 2 months that leads me there?
Exactly. But you can't be just 4 weeks at a time. Going, I'm going to do this cycle. I'm going to do that cycle. So they pick and choose what they want to do. And I'm like, no, man.
Or you take that cycle and you add it on to all the shit you're already doing.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
I'm doing all this stuff. Coach tells me I'm not strong in this lift. Well, I'll just go find
just put small off and put it on top of it.
Small off, world champion powerlifting cycle, which world champion lifters are only doing that. And I'll take that and add it to my 5-day-a-week fucking CrossFit program.
And I'll get stronger. Oh,
you're going to get something. You get something.
Oh, you get something, all right. Yeah. Your knees will get something. Yeah.
Let's take a break real quick. When we come back, we'll talk about how to plug the holes in your base.
Yes.
Yeah.
Left shoulder a bit. Stabilize. There it is. You're shrugging so badly on the right, see what I mean? Right there. That right here. Right there. It's not your shoulder. Okay. It's lats in here most likely. Yeah, it's here. But you don't have a shoulder problem, you have shoulder pain. In your case, you go like this on everything.
I can feel that.
Yeah, you know. We're going to start with a 45 and a 25 on each side, and then we'll see where you guys are at. Okay, so drag. Not too close, not too close. There we go. Wider stance, wider stance. There you go, palms up, supinated. Move. There you go, come on, move it. Keep it control. Short, 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 short. You see how he has to stand up? Because he doesn't have the hand in the position. Come on. And the right arm is giving up. See, don't pull. Pull with the left, but not with the right. You can move faster, it's all good. Still go. A bit faster. Faster hands, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh, don't slow down. Not done yet. Come on, keep pulling. Keep pulling. There you go.
Yeah, buddy.
Do it again, but actually I want him to do it again because he dies always in the last 20 feet, but the first ones are easy. Now, don't let go on the right. Pull on the left and the right. Come on. And pull right. There we go. And the left.
And the right. Good. You get downhill, so it's easy. Almost there. Almost there. Almost there. Almost. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. 10 feet, 10 feet, 10 feet. Come on. Move. 10 feet. Come on, 10 feet. Come on, 10 feet. Almost. Push. 3, 2, 1. Time. There you go. Come on, push the ground, into the ground, into the ground, into the ground, into the ground. Push the ground. So, posterior chain, see? I have to take weight off. But see the posterior chain shows. See how he wants to put his heel on the ground?
Yeah.
Not yet! Ah, video! Come on, take that on video. That's the best part right there. Come on, I got you, I got you. Come on, almost there. There you go. Now you can go crunch somewhere in there. Fun times!
Are you ready?
No.
All right.
Thrilling.
And we're back. We're going to be talking about plugging holes in your pyramid.
Yeah, basically. I like the way you phrase it, but yeah.
We're here with Julien, of course, and yeah,
Metaphorically speaking.
we want to talk about how is it that you identify these holes, plug them,
Yeah.
and send athletes on their way.
That was an aggressive plug. That was like,
Well, yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna.
Julian's an aggressive
Plug
plugger.
it, yeah. Oh,
I mean, he doesn't like
plug all day,
candy
baby.
coated
Yeah.
or anything
We
like
learned
that.
this
It's just
firsthand today.
no lube coming from this guy.
No candy coating.
Yeah.
lived in Brazil.
We got Brazil.
Charlotte's gonna have to bleep that out. Sorry.
all right. So what are some of the biggest holes in the average and/or elite CrossFitters game?
Okay, so in the last episode we are talking about the critical mass. So looking through that prism, basically, what I see, the biggest issue I see in CrossFit is the planes of movement, really, because everything in CrossFit is up and down. So I know when a CrossFitters comes here, like for example, the lats will be very strong from all the pull-ups, but in the frontal plane, so like pulling toward them is going to be fairly weak. There's no more chest activation in CrossFit. For example, it's a humongous problem because you need the chest to also stabilize your shoulders. So it's so much work
And you
toward the
want
shoulders.
really cool looking pecs.
Well,
for the
you know, like
ladies.
the Arnold. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, who doesn't?
So,
But there's not a lot of benching or pressing of any kind in the same plane as the rowing. It's
no,
not
but
really.
There's really not even even in the sagittal plane. Like all the dips are keeping now.
Oh, yeah.
They pick even on the dip, so you lock out the tricep, but there's really no chest activation in CrossFit at all. So that's a humongous hole because between the lack of rowing and now the lack of chest activation, you have the entire structure that does not stabilize the shoulder anymore. Like the serratus is basically very weak, if inexistent and everything. So on top of all the work on the shoulder, now you have nothing stabilizing it. So that's a major issue. So a lot of things that I do is I use the decline. I don't like the bench press.
man.
Yeah. I don't like the benchman that much because it puts too much pressure on the pec minor, which is already overused in CrossFit. So I like to use the decline either with a bar or with dumbbells to get the chest activation going so I can stabilize those shoulders. Obviously, that has to go with the rowing because we don't want the interior tilt. But a big issue that I see with CrossFitters is they have no shoulder stabilization. So they cannot stabilize overhead. They don't have the trap structure to stabilize their shoulder. They don't have the chest. They don't have the lats. So of course you have so many shoulders injuries now in CrossFit.
You don't have nothing. I guess you have nothing.
Nothing is putting it in place. And again, the shoulder is a floating joint. There's nothing holding it together. So now you don't have the rear delt, you don't have the traps, you don't have the lats, and you don't have the chest. Well, there you go. That's where you have
sounds like
shoulder.
a lot.
And that's why you see so
what
many.
What do you have?
Yeah. And so how many labrum tears in shoulder? How many? That's the main problem you see is shoulder now. All the time after the Achilles.
But Julien, the bench press, especially that damn decline press, isn't that just not a very functional thing? I mean, it doesn't look as cool as all this other shit. That's when the mindset is really at play.
Yeah,
here.
and you can't put it in a Metcon, and it's not easy in a class setting to have 12 people doing decline, and it's not cool, and you don't sweat, and you don't feel like you thrash yourself. I understand all those things, but there is, again, and you don't have to do it every day, but there is a moment where the safety and health, like healthy, does not seems to be very underrated in CrossFit. Let's put it this way. It's like I'm going to thrash myself, and I'll deal with the pain no matter what. And I'm like, but that's not a high-level athlete's mentality. If you want to survive long enough, you're going to have to do things correctly. And being stronger means you can last longer. Like my coach is 70 years old, and he still squats with
who's your coach up here?
That's my coach up there.
Yeah.
How much is on that bar, and what is that gentleman's age?
At the time, he's 61 years old. And that is 60 years old, and that is 496 on the bar, I believe.
So a 60-year-old man squatting about 400
And by the way, he weighs
pounds.
162, so that's a triple body weight.
500-pound squat, 162, and 61 years of age.
In the gym, leading to this, he had done 512 for a double. Yeah.
Wow.
And then that's someone who deadlifted 550 for, I don't know, 4 reps, I think. Again, he weighs 162. He's 5'5", I mean, tiny guy. And
I'd imagine he doesn't feel like he's getting older the same way that other 60-year-olds
No,
feel like they're getting
he probably
older.
feels better than us.
He's 72 right now. If he came into the gym, you would give him like early 60s.
His hamstrings are probably longer than all of ours, I guess.
Yeah, and he has the smallest legs, but he can move.
Yeah.
I mean, and his back is strong, and everything is strong. And if you look, usually strong people stay younger longer, let's put it this way, or at least get older a lot better.
Yeah, you don't need to get put in a home if you squat triple body weight.
Exactly.
You're
You last a lot longer.
Well, I'd say
no
muscular strength is the thing that's going to
make you last.
Determine your quality of life from, I don't know, now until you die.
Yeah, and again, this is not about being a bodybuilder. This is not about getting bigger and everything. It's just putting the right muscle in the right places. They not always show muscle like the biceps or the chest and everything. Sometimes it can be small muscle or even toward the hammies or stuff like that. But keeping your structure strong in the right places will allow you to last. And the mentality in CrossFit right now is a short one.
And picking well-reasoned exercises to help you address those. They may be the sexiest exercise, but they are what you need to do, I guess.
Yes, and again, you don't have to do it all the time. It doesn't have to be in the Metcon. But to me, there is like a side program to CrossFit that is needed right now to compensate for the huge holes there is in the pyramid. We need a side, call it whatever you want, accessory, strength program on the side of CrossFit to plug the holes. Call it whatever you want, I don't care, but those exercises have to be done. Again, not like crazy, only one set, once a week, but just do your due diligence.
Right.
I loved your reference to the Dorian Yates principle.
Yeah.
Warm up with one set, go out for one set, move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Just once a week. This isn't something you have to do after you work out every day.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
the once a week principle.
Yeah, that's it.
Minimally,
Sounds
just like you would a
easy.
medication. What is the most effective dose for you right now? Does that be the maximum dose?
You still have to take it seriously because most people will do it after the Metcon. They'll do a set of rows. I'm like, no, because remember there are numbers I'm looking for. I want that 50 on the rows. I want that 50% of the one rep. So you're gonna have to take it seriously as a strength program. The way you look at your squatting, you're gonna treat that the same way. So I want you to go out there and decline correctly, always great form, but challenge yourself to that. And that's a little bit the problem with the movement specialist is usually it's the 5-pound ping dumbbells and then they're going to teach you to move. I'm like, okay, the next stage is I'm going to make you decline 90-pound, 100-pound dumbbell and everything for 6 reps, but you're going to do it correctly. Just like the mindset you had on the 5-pound dumbbell, I want you to do that with 100 pounds. Doing correctly, great form, once a week, and then we move on. I mean, so you have to take it seriously. It doesn't mean you have to go crazy with it, but you do have to take it seriously.
Anybody who's struggled with movement once they got close to their snatch 1RM knows the effect of load on movement. You can't just pretend you move well if you haven't done it under load.
No.
It's like a fucking totally different thing.
Exactly. That 90% always kills you.
We've talked about supinated dumbbell or barbell rows.
Yes.
We've talked about decline dumbbell presses. What else?
Or barbell.
What other?
I want the dumbbell rows because that's pulling in neutral. So and then left versus right. So dumbbell rows is very important.
You had a number for that too, a target that.
Yeah, I want about basically, let's say like 30% of your max deadlift on the dumbbell row. So
that's a one-arm dumbbell row.
And I think that's more than people would guess first. That would be.
Yeah. But I've fairly high numbers. But
a 200-pound guy, I could be like a 200-pound dumbbell.
Yeah. My deadlift is around 620, and I do 190 for like 5-6 reps, about around 200. So that's about right. Know what I mean?
And I'll give a shout out to Jim Willard too, who years ago said one of the markers of performance, if you could grab onto a fucking heavy dumbbell, 150, 200, 250 pounds, and do those rows. If you have a grip problem, a deadlift problem, a back problem, a bench problem, doing that shit tends to fix that.
Yeah, it does.
Matt Kroc popularized that
Kroc
as well.
rows, Matt Kroc.
And so I have the decline. The Z press with dumbbell is an important one. Know what I mean? That's for again to activate the upper back correctly and things like that.
And you were talking about a percentage of jerk.
Yeah, basically I think the total weight on your Z press would be about like your jerk should be so the max weight time 2.5 should be roughly your jerk. So if you use 130, I'll give you at 300. That's about right.
Okay.
So what kind of resistance have you gotten from CrossFit athletes for doing quote-unquote bodybuilding exercises?
Exactly that. The first thing I get is I don't do bodybuilding. That's the first phrase I get. And I'm like, I didn't say you should oil yourself, put a bikini, and go on stage.
You don't need to get up there on with a banana hammock on your crotch.
Exactly. And then go there, because that's bodybuilding. They don't understand. Bodybuilding is going on stage and posing.
Right.
I didn't say that. Bodybuilding is so building your muscles so they look a certain way. I didn't talk about that. I just said muscle building, which is not bodybuilding.
Right.
It's not the same thing. If you have, let's say you have weak biceps, right? You do the keeping pull-ups and even strict pull-ups, they just don't build the bicep. They build your forearms, they build your back, but they don't build the bicep. Well, guess what? You're going to have to do biceps curls. Because if you don't, you're going to create, like I have a problem with my bicep, your brachialis is going to start to give you a problem. You can get a tendinitis in your elbows really fast because you have an imbalance between your tricep and your bicep and stuff like that. Well, then go do biceps curls. Do one set a week. Jesus Christ, this isn't bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is like doing 35 sets every 3 days.
You don't have to have the plain rice and chicken breast either. None of that, none of that shit.
Just,
you don't have to shave your ass either.
Chill with the whole like functional movement. Bullshit. A keeping pull-up is not a functional movement to build your lats. It's not. I'm sorry, but I love I'm not saying we shouldn't do keeping pull-ups, but that idea that CrossFit only does functional movement, bullshit. The sumo high pull is not a functional movement. I'm sorry. Like a sumo deadlift
machine is
high pull.
not a functional movement.
No, so
treadmill running is not a fucking functional movement either. I mean, not to be a dick, but fuck, man. I mean, if it is functional we're after, why are you running on a fucking treadmill for?
Yeah, and so so again, like doing one set of bicep curl a week is not making you a bodybuilder. But so I get a lot of resistance from doing isolation work. It's like, no, they want everything to be done in a compound movement and in a Metcon. But I'm like, okay, look, if you were perfect physically and you would react perfectly, you could do compound movements all day and you'd be fine. But welcome to human nature. None of us is perfect and we're all going to have different ways. If I make 2 people squat the same way, one will get a huge ass, the other one will get huge quads. So should I just stay there and leave them just doing the squat? No, because one, I'm going to have to go toward the quads, the other one toward the posterior chain. If I don't, create imbalance, they're going to get stuck, they're going to get hurt. I'm not doing my job as a coach. So I will deal with whatever I have to deal with whatever exercise I need to deal with. It's basically an open source like CrossFit was supposed to be. CrossFit was whatever works, really. Okay, well, isolation works. And just because Glassman, being a libertarian, refused to follow the Russian path or all that stuff does not make it wrong for me to do so.
And by saying that, I don't imagine you're saying, okay, like I like isolation work, and so I'm going to do every single like shoulder raise there is, and every single bicep curl, and every single tricep extension, every single calf raise, and every single whatever.
Exactly.
You're finding the key log, as you said. You're finding the muscle that's not firing, and you're isolating it on purpose to
fix
make
it fire. And then if 6 months from now we get the biceps firing and then they fire on all the other exercise, then I'll stop doing it. That's fine. But maybe it's something that is built in you that they just don't fire properly, so we might have to continue. Maybe we don't. Maybe it was just a weakness that we fixed, and now we can move on. It depends on the athlete. But I will not make you do biceps curls just because it's not CrossFit. That to me is ridiculous. If you need to do something, I'll make you do that.
I guess what you're saying is there's a lot of functional movements that just aren't in CrossFit, and just because you don't see it prescribed there doesn't mean that you can't use it in your training.
And there's a lot of functional movements that are great, but they will not allow you to develop your body completely we're not machines. It doesn't work like that. For some people, the clean and jerk is enough. Great. For other people, it won't be enough. Some people, they do clean and jerk, they get a massive back and everything. Other people just get quads and triceps. I mean, just, you know, whatever. It's just the same movement will not develop two different people the same.
Yeah.
Some people will develop imbalances here, weaknesses there. Everybody is different. And so the idea that the clean and jerk, oh, it does everything. No, not for everybody.
Well, they make tools in all sizes and shapes and for all kinds of applications for a fucking really good reason.
Yes,
not every
exactly.
tool is right for every job. You can't just have one big fucking wrench in your house.
And so that doesn't mean you shouldn't do clean and jerk.
things.
But I'm just saying the clean and jerk might be not enough for your rear delt. So now what? So you're going to do more clean and jerk to get more rear delt. I'm like, that just it's the wrong mentality toward that. So look, the clean and jerk is great, but in your particular case, it's not doing this. Maybe it does for you, but it's not doing for. So let's address that issue because your base lacks this. So that's I don't go into the argument with the CrossFitters because I'm like, look, you say whatever you want. Your base lacks this. Either you listen to me or you don't. But you're going to come to see me before or after surgery. It's up to you which one. So you can just keep going, you'll pop something, and then you come to me, except now I have more work because you're even more fucked up than you were before.
I have to pay you more for it. It was a plus for you.
Yeah, well, not really, but yeah. But so,
sometimes not worth all the fuss to deal with those problems, of course.
Yeah, and so so what I do is not really fancy. It's not like programming like my program. You know, like Outlaw when they were like programming sends this person to the games. I'm like bullshit. There's no programming that is sending anybody to the games. If you're saying that, you're an asshole because you're selling something. It's not true. The athlete is going to put the work. The athlete has the talent, the work ethic, all that stuff necessary maybe to go to the games. And your programming is going to help. But your programming is not the one sending the athletes
all your job
to the game.
Your job is only to remove the key logs.
That's all. I'm just helping. I'm plugging the hole. I'm building a better base. That's all I do. I just want to make sure that you can you can exploit your talent and that you won't break doing so. That's it. That's it. So it's not fancy. It's not the top level programming and all that stuff. But even the top level programmer, that's why I'm going to work with CJ and Invictus because it's great to have all that volume and everything. But if your base is not built correctly, the volume will break you.
Yeah, eventually in every sport, like once you get to a big level like NFL and like Major League Baseball, you know, basketball, etc., like it becomes a game of recruiting, and then primarily the strength coach's job is to keep athletes healthy, to keep the best players playing.
Exactly. So just your job as a coach is, I mean, those guys is, I'm going to make a good athletes and I'm going to give it to the position coach so he can make them better. So I have to give them someone that won't break, that can actually do whatever is required. So that doesn't mean specific movements. Like, unfortunately, you see a lot. Oh, it's just, I'm going to make you, my coach is to make you better at football. No. That's a football coach job to make you better at football. My job is just to give you to him healthy, capable, and physically capable of playing football at a high level. Then he makes you better at football.
Kind of like you develop a durable athlete, and then they make a good football player.
But I make a better athlete.
Right.
You take and then you make it into a football player. But if I start to train you as a football player and then I give you to a position coach to make you a better football player, nobody took care of the athlete part. And that's a problem. And that's what I see in CrossFit a lot is like, well, we're going to do those movements. And I'm like, you need a high volume of training for CrossFit. It is what it is. But if I can't build a correct base, the high volume will break the athlete. And so that's that short-term mentality you see more and more, where the volume is getting greater and greater because the games are completely insane. And so for people to be able to handle that, they're going to need a side program to build a correct base so they can handle the volume. CrossFit is going to need an off-season. They're going to have to understand that part. You're going to need an off-season. You're going to need to heal, and you're going to need to build a correct base, and then
have
take
a mental
it
break
to
from the suffering.
That too. And then so you're going to have to treat it as a sport.
Yeah.
What do you consider it to be now? Is there not the kind of the season, you know, March-ish through July-ish for the games competitors, and then everything else is the off season? How do you view it right now?
There's the Kill Cliff has a competition in October. Okay, so you get off the games, you got August off, and then you're back in training September. That's not enough season.
We've seen athletes
CrossFit,
compete like the next weekend afterwards.
No, but they're just insane.
So does that have more to do with the individual athletes choosing to do other competitions?
I think
besides
the culture of CrossFit is still very new, and they still have that teenager mentality of, I'm just going to party hard all year, baby. So I see a
it's fucking
competition.
great when you're a teenager.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes in your 30s. But,
and
extreme balance, right, Coach?
And sometimes you get arrested too in the process. But it's still that mentality of that healthy is very underrated in CrossFit, and they still have that mentality. I'm just going to balls to the wall, and I'm just going to thrash my body, and I'm going to show how tough I am by doing a competition every 3 weeks, and I need to compete to get better on everything. And then, okay, and then when you
every single training session is a competition.
But so great athletes get away longer with things like that. But when they break uglier than other people.
So if a coach is listening to this right now, and they have athletes that have that mentality, like how do you handle your athletes so they can kind of model after you? Do you have any suggestions?
Ask for an off-season. You're going to have to take 2-3 months, at least 2-3 weeks off CrossFit. So, and I would like honestly 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever, but off CrossFit, so we can.
That doesn't mean no training.
No.
It just means not
no med counts.
Yeah.
No, like mentally stressing. We have to stop. It's not just the outside; it's the inside stuff. You have to stress the hormonal system all the time. The adrenaline glands require time to recover. After the games, they're short. It's going to take 9 weeks for them to recover.
So is that mostly strength work, skill work, intervals?
Yeah, a lot of
not metcons though.
Yeah, a lot of skill work, strength work, depending on how beat up you are from the games and everything. But it's going to be
you're not trying to then push your numbers up if it's just strength work. You're just basically practicing some skill movements.
Yeah, and let's see what this year is going to be like. What do we need this year? You look at the games. So what did you like? What do we need to work on this year? Every year you're a different athlete. You got stronger at certain things. Hopefully you got better. So now what? We move out. Do I need to? For example, last year for me was to get Val healthy. That was it. Because her shoulder was a problem, her hip was a problem. I just wanted to get her healthy. Now that I've done that, I can start to focus on certain issues like the snatch, making her a little bit stronger, a little bit explosive. But I couldn't do it as much as I wanted last year because it would have mean not taking care of her health first, which was no way for me. No matter what, even though she has a short time period, I didn't care. I told her, I'm going to fix your shoulder first. Once you can do all the CrossFit stuff without being in pain on the shoulder, then we can move on. Move safer, move better, move faster. That's just the way it is. So move safer was I'm going to fix the shoulder. Now that the shoulder is fixed, I can go to move better where the shoulder is in the right place. We can work on those clean and jerks. Now I can make her better at other stuff. But first, I'm going to make you healthy.
And we know that your favorite weightlifter, your favorite strength athlete is doing this. Like you watch Ilya or somebody crush a world record clean and jerk at the Olympic Games. Guess what? The guy didn't do anything for about a year afterwards.
A year and a half he took off after the Olympic Games. A year and a half.
The
guy was rowing. He weighed 185. When he came back to training. 185.
All right, yeah.
He lost 30 pounds.
30
pounds. He was just rowing every day because he's a guy has to move all the time, so he was just rowing. He weighed 185. If Ilya Elin can do it for a year and a half, you can do it for 8 weeks.
And guess what? He came back and fucking looked better.
And won the Olympics. One weight class above.
So what would the average off-season look like? I mean, we kind of said skill work, strength training, but are they reducing how many days a week they're training?
No, because those guys like to train all the time, so you can't mentally it would not work for them. But for example, I would take one, and do I need to? Is there something I need to like? For example, at the game that we saw that is really glaring, something where you just couldn't do. Matt Fraser climbing the rope. And everything. So let's analyze that. What did you like? There was was it like the open grip? So stuff like that.
What happened for people that didn't see it?
Okay, so Matt Fraser lost the games basically on that flipping the pig rope climb workout. Flipping the pig is open hand, so I'm sure that destroyed his grip. Then he got into rope climb, and he had 4 to do, and the 4th he couldn't. So he tried like 3, 4, 5 times, and he had to sit. Looking at the road, not being able to climb, watching everybody else go by him, and that's basically what cost him the game. He was ahead by 100 points by then, and he ended up in 2nd place after that workout. Why? Because his grip could not handle that supinated open hand strength. And so something like that would be the first thing I would look at. He said, look, we have to look at your grip and your lat engagement on stuff like that. So it would be a lot of testing on the rope pull and stuff like that, but that would be a priority. How come you couldn't deadlift those fucking kettlebells in the last? That has to be looked at. Is the problem that your grip was so bad you couldn't have a grip, or is it because you really couldn't deadlift in that, in a neutral grip with the weight by your ankles instead of in front of you? Are you so dependent on your lower back that you can only deadlift if the weight is in front of you? Can you not put your hips and deadlift in that particular position? Was that the problem, or was the grip the problem? That's what I would like to know. What gave up? Or maybe it's your head because you were already gone because you knew you lost. But I would have to look at that first, and then we're going to fix that no matter what. Then are you healthy or not? So let's fix this and everything. And so let's say he's healthy and just a grip problem. So first we fix the grip, we fix the deadlift, and then then we move on from there, basically. But I would have to look at a guy like that, his first health, and then after that, what cost you, and then you start to decompose what needs to be done, and that's what the off-season is for. Cardio comes back in 6 weeks, so I don't have to worry about that. But first, you're going to have to back off a little bit, especially the mentally stressing, because right now he's so stressed, that guy. I would back him off on the stress level mentally. Go hike for 3 weeks. You're not allowed to touch weight. I just want you to go hike and sleep 12 hours a day for 3 weeks. Then we're going to sit down, take a look at what happened, see why you fell where you fell, and then we're going to devise a point to fix that. And then there's your normal training, and then we'll move from there, basically.
Got one last question before we go, and that is for the average CrossFitter, for the average weightlifter, somebody who's not, they don't have a season really. Yep. What would you tell them that they need to add to their training? We said, once a week, throw in these things. Yeah. But the average person, what is it that they can do to help, increase their longevity? Yeah,
they will have to sacrifice, like if they train, let's say, 5 days a week, and they do 5 main counts a week, they'll have to sacrifice at least one.
Okay.
To put maybe once a week they can do the assistance work depending on what they need. They can shove it in 1 day. If they can't, then you shove it in 2 days, and then you'll do your main counts only 3 times a week instead of 2. But in the long run, it will make you better. You can't get away with 5 days of med counts if you have glaring weaknesses and think you're going to get better. I know they think that way, but the fact is it won't happen. It might take a year, might take 18 weeks, but then you're going to hit the wall, and now it's going to require more work to fix it than if you do it from the get-go. I mean, like, by the way, shoulder pain every morning, that's not normal. If it takes you 10 minutes to get out of bed and you're 28, that's not normal.
Right.
Just so stuff like that. Just be honest on the issues you need to address. There is a way to do this, so don't worry. You don't have to freak out about it. But when there's an issue, address it. You have to own your training. Look, this is not working. That doesn't mean you're a pussy. That doesn't mean any of that. It just means there's an issue. Just address it.
Time to make a better decision.
Put it down. Look at the critical mass. Look why. What are you lacking? Put that back in. And so you do it twice. Now you fix the problem. So now can you remove that or not? Can you just put it into 1 day? Can you increase the volume, but you cannot increase the intensity at the same time? So just own the training, do it nice and slow, but have like a year-long period instead of that 6 weeks mentality of, I'm going to kill the squat for 6 weeks. Okay, and then what?
Yeah.
I mean, have a short-term goal, but also mid-term and then the long-term, but understand that there are priorities that needs to be addressed, otherwise you will break. And stop thinking it's okay to be in pain all the time. Yeah. It's not. I mean, some pain is normal, but fix the problems first. If the pain comes from a problem that you're not addressing, it's going to get worse, not better. Yeah. That's for sure.
Actually, I have one more question for Julien. You mentioned pain. It's a good question. Shut up, jerk.
It better be good.
Yeah.
Better be good.
We've been in the pain cave. Julien, I know you go to the pain cave. When you go to your dark spots, when you're pushing that sled, when you're carrying the yoke, when you're carrying a stone or whatever, what do you say to yourself? Some things that might help other people when they're now getting used to what it's like to suffer and do it still with a smile on your face, maybe.
It's Heidegger who said you have to burn the questions.
Burn the questions.
And that's the true thing, is I'm at a stage where I don't ask myself why I'm doing it. I don't have to do anything. There's no why. I'm just going to take that weight, and I'm going to go over there with it.
Simple.
I burn the questions.
Burn the questions down,
That's the true way to be able to train and everything, is burn the questions.
Love it.
I like it. Yeah. I like it a lot, yeah.
Boom.
Thank you, Julien.
That's it.
It was a joy, man.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
my pleasure.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Yes. Okay, my pleasure.
We'll come back up here and train with you very soon.
Yes, please do.
All right.
Join the conversation every week after the episode over at barbellshrugged.com. This is also where you'll find new episodes of Barbell Shrugged, Technique Wad, Nuggets and Pearls, Barbell Business, Get Change, plus new articles every day on our daily blog, written by us, guests of the show, and some of the biggest names in strength and conditioning. So, go there and leave a comment now.
Oh my gosh, wow, that's so cool. Yay, that's so awesome.
Did you like this video? If so, subscribe to our channel and share this with your friends.
And if you want even more free, awesome resources to help you reach your fitness goals, plus some updates that we only share over email, head over to barbellshrugged.com and sign up for the newsletter.